Final update. My parents tried to screw over my dying stepmother, blew up all of our lives instead. Original post. My 17 female stepmother Jane is a wonderful, wonderful woman. She and my father got married when I was 4, and she's been a rock in my life ever since. My mother was always my primary caregiver, but up until that point, her relationship with my father was acrimonious, and I basically never saw him. Jane was the reason they developed a stable co-parenting relationship. She encouraged everyone to have a good relationship with each other and was always there to support me and my mom when things got rough. Jane was always a really hard worker. When she met my dad, he was living out of a hotel, and my mother was doing everything in her power to keep me away from him because she was petty and angry that their relationship didn't work out. Meanwhile, Jane had a great job, a nice house, helped my dad get back on his feet, negotiated a visitation schedule with my mom, who hated her for a long time, and made sure my dad sent us money every week because neither of them could afford an attorney to negotiate child support payments. Jane had no reason to do any of these things, but as I got older, she made it clear that she loved me as much as she loved my half-brothers, who were born a few years later. I even have my own room in her house because, at a time, we lived with my grandparents and various boyfriends of my mom, and Jane felt that I needed a more stable environment than that. She's like the opposite of the evil stepmom. When I was 15, Jane won a big lawsuit against an airline company and was awarded upwards of $1 million. She used the money to build sizable trust funds for me and my brothers, so that we would be taken care of later in life. Despite having a lot more money, she still wanted to live a fairly modest life, so she paid off the house she has and has been living there ever since with my dad. Sure, she bought a new car and they went on a few nice vacations, but she didn't blow all her money on stupid things, which I respected. About a year ago, things started getting really weird. Whenever I saw Jane, she seemed to look sicker and sicker, but no one would tell me or my brothers why, even though I know they knew. All we knew is that she was at the hospital a lot. Around the same time, my mom started coming around my dad a lot more and acting really strange, basically like she was trying to romance him. Whenever Jane was in hospital, my mother would insist on spending the night at their house and playing mom to my brothers, which was so weird to me because she never liked them or Jane. She'd be the perfect little housewife, and my mom is not like that at all. It was super fake. Worst of all, my dad started falling for it. I'm not stupid. I'm pretty sure they were sleeping together. I tried to shield my brothers from it, but they're not dumb either. I tried talking to my dad too, but he insisted it wasn't like that. Then, a few weeks ago, my mom started talking about all the places she'd like to visit, how she wanted a new car and was looking to invest. Which was weird, because my mom has been a bartender her whole life and has lived paycheck to paycheck since before I was born. She was acting like she was about to get a lot of money, which started to make me really suspicious. Between Jane being sick and my mom acting all nouveau-riche, I had a lot of questions. Finally, I decided to visit Jane in the hospital and ask her about my trust fund. I found out that if anything happened to her, my dad would inherit all the money, including full control of the trusts for me and my brothers. She asked me why I was so interested in the trust fund, so I told her what was going on with my parents and how my mom had been acting with my dad. I didn't want to, but after everything she did for me, she deserved the truth. It really hurt me to break her heart like that, especially once I found out that she was basically in hospice at this point because of irreversible kidney failure. She's only got a few more months. We both cried so much. Then 2 days ago, everything came to a head. My mom stormed in furious and started arguing with my dad. Apparently, Jane met with her lawyer and changed the trust so that my dad would get nothing, and all of the trusts would be controlled by my step-aunt. She demanded to know how Jane found out about their relationship, and I came out and told them that I told Jane everything. I told them that if they wanted to play stupid games, they would win stupid prizes. And that I wasn't going to let them screw Jane over after all the help she gave my family when she didn't have to. My mom slapped me, and my dad just looked so defeated. Then my mom told my dad that she didn't really love him, that she was just pretending so he would marry her and she could get all of the money. The worst part about it is that my brothers witnessed the whole thing. And now, on top of their mom dying, they have to deal with a cheating dad and his vindictive ex. Our whole family is in ruins, and I feel like it's my fault even though I know it's not. Yesterday, I visited Jane again and told her about the fallout. She apologized and said that she had to dissolve my trust fund to make sure my mother didn't get a hold of the money, but that as her oldest, I will inherit the house/property after she's gone, and that's worth more than the other two trust funds combined. My father won't get anything because she's going to divorce him before she dies, and honestly, I was happy for her. She made me promise to take care of my brothers and told me that once I turn 18 this summer, I can kick my dad out of the house if I want to, and I fully plan to do that, by the way. I haven't talked to my dad since, and I can't even look at my mom. I can't believe they would conspire to do this to Jane after all this time. Just proof that they deserve each other, and I'm embarrassed that they're my parents. Once I turn 18, I'm going to cut my dad out as much as I can, and cut my mom out completely. I hope she rots. Meanwhile, I'm going to try and be at the hospital as much as I can until Jane passes away. Edit? Some people are asking a lot of the same stuff, so I'll just clarify here. My brothers, my plan is to use some of the estate money to fight for guardianship of my twin brothers so that they can live in the house while I kick my dad out. The trust. Jane dissolved my third of the trust and switched it over to cover house maintenance, putting the house in my name so my dad wouldn't get it. My parents. The big fight happened on Sunday, and I haven't spoken to either of my parents since. Hope that clears some stuff up. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. I'm so sorry you're going through such a hard time, OP. The most important thing you've inherited from Jane is a strong moral compass. You could have taken the easy road and ignored everything your mom and dad were doing, but your compassion for Jane is proof you take after her the most. Thanks a lot. Yeah, when my mom was yelling at me, she asked why I couldn't keep my mouth shut and mind my business. And I told her, because Jane raised me better than that. And that's when she slapped me. I feel like she's always been threatened by Jane, and that was just proof. I'm so sorry, OP. Jane may not have given birth to you, but she's your mom through and through. I'm sorry she's dying, but I'm sure she's happy and relieved to know that even after she's gone, you'll have her back and keep an eye on her kids. Sending good thoughts your way. Thanks a lot. I really love my brothers, and I know it's my job to take care of them properly now that they won't have a mom around. Jane did so much to raise me, and my brothers won't have the opportunity, so it's only right that I help them. Now for the first update. Hi guys, it's me again. A lot of you ask for an update in my situation with Jane and my family, so I've come back with a few things that have happened since I initially posted. I will try to organize this in a way that addresses the major points from the last time. Jane is still alive and doing surprisingly well, considering the circumstances. She's always been a fighter, and although her disease has been progressing, she's keeping a positive attitude with everything that's going on. She says she's grateful that she was able to see everyone's true colors before she passed, so she could go into the next life knowing the truth. We have become so unbelievably close in the past few months, and it's getting harder and harder to know that she's getting close to the end. She doesn't ever talk about it though, and I know it's because she doesn't want to hurt me. But we both know the situation, so we're just making the best of our time. I'm also not being completely transparent about all of the drama at home, but to be honest, I don't think she needs to hear all of that. We did end up having that surprise celebration of life that I planned. A lot more people showed up than I thought, but they all got an Airbnb near the hospital where Jane is, and we were able to take her out and spend some time at the lake near the facility. It was super low-key, which I know Jane preferred, and I was even able to get her old college friend to come after I found him on LinkedIn, lol. We had food, and there was music, and we played games. It was overall a really great time, except Jane started crying at the end, but she promised me it was just because she was grateful. My brothers are also doing okay. My aunt, Jane's sister, is currently paying for them to go to therapy, and they've become a lot more open about talking about the situation. They just turned 13, but a lot of time it feels like I'm talking to actual adults, lol. They've become really independent lately, in a good way, and aside from me driving them places, I don't really have to do much for them anymore. Their grades aren't super great, but they're not failing. And considering the circumstances, it could be a lot worse. They still hang out with friends, and I'm keeping an eye out for depression symptoms and stuff. The situation with my mom is as funny as it is embarrassing, to be honest. She spent a few weeks ignoring us, and then she tried to crawl back into my life, basically begging me to let her move in because her lease is about to expire and she has nowhere to go. That convo went about as well as you'd think, and she ended up calling me an ungrateful bee and saying that I couldn't just ignore her because she's my mom. I told her to get out of the house before I called the cops, and to go back to my dad, who at that point was only coming home every few days to check on us and grab some clothes. After that, she tried coming by a few times, and when I wouldn't open the door, she would lose her mind and start yelling through the neighborhood. After 3 instances of this, I finally called the cops, but because I'm 17, they told me there's a possibility that I would have to go home with her, since technically I'm a minor and need to be with a custodial parent. I told them no way, because I was the only one watching my brothers at the moment. That led to a whole thing where, after a few hours, my dad basically showed up, and I was allowed to stay there because there was finally an adult present, and I'd basically lived there for over a year. After that, the cops firmly told my mom that if she keeps showing up and causing drama, my neighbors confirmed that she'd been there a few times screaming. They would arrest her for trespassing, since technically it was Jane's house and not hers. She left and hasn't tried coming to the house anymore, but for a while, she would call me constantly, telling me I owed her and all kinds of stuff. She's now blocked and everything, and anything she needs to say to me gets filtered through my dad. As for my dad, well, since he's basically required to be here for another 2 months until I turn 18, we've basically just avoided each other. It's not too bad though, because I've been heavily relying on guilting him for everything to get my way. For example, he was going to contest the divorce, but I threatened to kick him out when I turn 18 if he did that. So he just signed all the paperwork for a quickie divorce and is basically doing whatever Jane tells him to do. I don't openly disrespect him or anything, he's still my dad, but I've made it clear that I have no intentions of doing anything he says ever again, and he doesn't fight me on it. Most of the time, he's just in his room, and sometimes he'll go back to my mom's, but only for a day or 2 before they argue and she kicks him out again, lol. I haven't decided whether or not I'll kick him out yet, and we haven't talked about it either, so I'm kind of playing it by ear. As for me, I'm handling everything as best as I can. I found a new job where I make a little more money, so I've been focusing on saving as much as I can and just being there for my brothers. Between working, school, and visiting Jane, I've been so busy I haven't really had time to stop and think about everything. But I know it'll come. One of my friends has really stepped up and helped me manage everything, and I'm super grateful to him for being there for me and my brothers, so we'll see how that goes. Anyways, I wish I had something more exciting to share, but that's what's happened since my last post. Thanks again for all the support in my last post. I remember your first post. That is such a big pile of horse crap to be dealing with, but you sound so incredibly mature and like you're really taking it in stride. Your parents have really failed you and your brothers here, but I'm so proud of how you've managed to step up to the plate and hold your ground against them. I'm still sorry you have to be the next best adult in this scenario. It's also great to hear that Jane is still alive and that you guys got to do a celebration of life with her. I can only hope that, when I am at my own end, I have people who love me this dearly and this deeply. I hope you and your loved ones are able to make some more happy memories with her. Thank you, and I promise that as long as you are a good person and work to make the lives of those around you better instead of being a burden, you will have many people around you who will love and cherish you. Jane was a wonderful example for you and raised you well. I'm so sorry you have to deal with all of this. You are so young, and this should be a carefree time in your life. However, I'm glad your brothers have you. Curious, does your dad and bio mom work at all? Or do they just mooch off Jane and others? I mean, it seems like they have a lot of time on their hands to do nothing but be horrible people. Yes, my bio mom works as a bartender most nights. She's been working at the same bar basically my whole life. As for my dad, he works in industrial sales. He makes a pretty decent living, but I think most of his money recently has been going toward my bio mom, since he never seems to have money to do anything anymore, lol. Second update. Hello everyone, it's me again. I've gotten quite a few messages in the last months asking for an update, so I'm going to post my final update here and hope that's enough to answer the questions everyone has been asking. I'm sorry that it took so long to update, but a lot has been going on. As many of you may already assume, Jane passed away early this fall. It was very traumatic and sudden, but the silver lining is that she exceeded every doctor's expectation for her life. And when she did go, she was surrounded by family, including me, my brothers, and my dad. She was on palliative care and felt no pain except for a brief moment right at the end, and we are all very grateful for that. Towards the end, Jane was physically pretty much done, but her mind was as sharp as ever. I took the advice of many of you here and recorded some voice notes for my brothers. I originally wanted to do video, but by the time we were able to do it, we both decided they didn't need to remember her wrapped in tubes and in a hospital gown. She also wrote many letters for her friends, family, and even for me to open when I reached certain milestones. She gave me one to open right after she passed away. And while I won't share too many details, I can say with absolute certainty that she is and forever will be who I consider my mother without question. It was very, very emotional for everyone, and although it has been a few months, I am still very heartbroken about her no longer being with us. She was a kind, gentle woman, and in my heart, she is who I aspire to be. My brothers are obviously very hurt about our mom dying, but just like before, they're taking it surprisingly well. They're still going to therapy both together and separately, and we have a lot of conversations whenever they feel like talking. We've always been close, but I feel like we're closer now. Even though I work, we hang out as often as we can, and I'm doing everything I can to be the support that they need. They don't know it, but I definitely need them as much as they need me, because they're the only ones I can really talk to about anything. Ironically, now that our family glue is gone, we're pulling together stronger than before. My dad and I mended fences, so to speak. We went to a few therapy sessions together where he took full responsibility for his behavior, and I've forgiven him as much as I can, especially since he eventually started doing everything he could to be there for Jane at the end, even though they still went through with a divorce. He's still living with us and things are a little tense, but they're much better than before. He's my dad, and I love him, but he was also broken by Jane's condition, and he wasn't able to cope in a healthy manner. Her dying really brought some light into his eyes, so to speak, and now he's really stepping up to be the man he was supposed to be. A lot of people might comment saying too little too late, but again, he's my dad, and for my own mental health, I have chosen to forgive him. As far as I know, my bio mom pretty much vanished off the face of the earth when I turned 18. She tried a few times to convince me to let her live with us, but I wasn't having any of it. Even my dad told her he's officially done, and after we all blocked her on everything, she stopped reaching out. She doesn't have any relatives who talk to her, so I don't have to worry about that. But I did hear from people who follow her on Facebook that she has a new boyfriend that she's living with. I don't want to stalk her or anything. I really don't care. She hasn't come to me with any kind of apology, so to be honest, she can get bent. It's a little hard for me to think that she just walked away the second I turned legal, just because she didn't get any of Jane's money. But oh well, true colors and all that. Guess 18 years was too long to pretend to care. I'm just so angry with her, I don't want anything to do with her anymore. Maybe that will change one day, but I'm not holding my breath. As for me, I'm doing pretty okay. I decided to take a year before I start college to handle all of this BS, and I'm still at my same job, so I'm saving up money wherever I can. My friends have all been great supporters, and I'm so grateful for everyone, especially you Reddit folks, who have been checking in on me and making sure I'm okay. I'm taking things one day at a time, and that's been working great to keep me focused. My goal is to go to college next year and study journalism, but I'm playing it by ear. I can always go back to school, but right now my family needs me, and if that takes longer than a year, then so be it. Thank you everyone. This will be my last update, and I very much appreciate all the love and support you've shown our family. Jane, I know, was very grateful for all of you too, and all I can say is, hold your loved ones tight and be careful of anyone who seems too good to be true. Much love and blessings to you all. your dad still sucks. I went back and read OP's past posts. All I have to say is that OP's dad is just as bad as Bio Mom, my opinion. But yeah, a few therapy sessions definitely fixed him. I understand why you would feel this way, but the therapy is ongoing. He's actually insisting on it, and he's going to individual therapy as well. We all are. The goal isn't to fix him as much as it is to help us all cope with each other and what happened. I think Jane dying broke us all in a way that won't ever be fixed. Who has control over the money Jane left for her children? Does your father have access to it? Is it possible that his attitude only changed because he's expected to gain access to the money Jane left? He might still be secretly involved with your biological mom and only pretending to change his behavior as a way to get closer to Jane's money. For a while, I did honestly think this. However, shortly after Jane died, I found out he was looking into apartments to move into. When I confronted him about it, he said that he was trying to be respectful and assumed I wouldn't want to have anything to do with him, so he was preparing just in case. I think the fact that he wasn't parading his plan around in front of me to try and get brownie points says a lot, along with the fact that he's been very involved in our therapy. That gives me a lot of hope. I understand a lot of people have bad experiences, but like I've been saying, my dad isn't a bad person. He's just stupid. Last story. I was sent a DNA test because my mom and sister got into a disagreement. My Christmas gift this year was a DNA test kit my mom sent me after my little sister let me know our dad might not be my real dad. This was after my mom and sister got into a major disagreement, so my sister threw me in the middle of their fight. All I can say is mad respect to my dad, whether he is biologically mine or not. I never would have even guessed this was a possibility. He's never treated me differently, and if anything, he's been my rock. I also found out my sister had been making stories up about me and telling everyone my personal struggles and battles all these years, which resulted in a lot of family members ignoring me and isolating me and my 2 kids. My dad, again not sure if he's biological or not yet, and my older brother are the only ones who never turned their backs on us. I never understood why my kids and I were not invited to family holidays, etc. anymore years ago. It made me sad, but I just accepted it. On top of this news, I was also recently diagnosed with psoriatic arthritis mutilans, which is a rare and severe type of PSA. The condition ultimately causes bone loss in the affected joints, which can make it impossible to bend or straighten them. I haven't told my family yet, but it's just one more personal battle I'm ready to take on, and that's okay. I have a long, extensive background of medical issues but haven't given up yet. So, with the DNA test kit, my mom wants me to take it so she can basically throw it in my sister's face if it comes back saying my dad is my biological dad. But she said she doesn't know what she will feel if it comes back saying he isn't. Meanwhile, my sister has been trying to convince my dad to kick my 2 kids and me out of his apartment, especially if he's not my bio dad, which my dad, bio or not, said he wasn't going to do. I've been working, trying to save money and get a place for my kids and me, so I'm trying either way. I just feel lost, confused, and alone. And I'm open to any advice or suggestions to help during this time, now that my family circle just got even smaller because I can't trust anyone at the moment. Apparently, it doesn't matter to your dad if you're his biological child. He loves you regardless. Why do anything for a family that rejects you? You love your dad and he loves you. Tell them you haven't been part of their family since they rejected you. Keep in touch with your dad and brother. Tell him what's happening and cut the rest off. I have cut contact with my sister. However, my sister ended up cutting contact with my mom. Like my sister and me, my mom and I have also had issues in the past seeing eye to eye. It always felt like my mom and sister teamed up against me. My mom also would baby my older brother and favor my 2 siblings. So now that my sister is no contact with mom and my brother went no contact with mom as well, I'm the only one talking to my mom. It's kinda sad because, for the first time ever, my mom actually talks to me more than she ever has. I've literally spent years longing for a mom-daughter bond like my sister and her had. I love my sister, and even if she gave me devastating news and I have to love her from a distance, I still hope she is always okay and her family's happy. So, with that being said, it's hard to go no contact with my mom because she finally answers my phone calls instead of ignoring me, and she has been listening to me and telling me about her life, etc. Even though it's probably not the healthiest thing, because my mom also ends up steering conversations, talking about my sister and how upset she is that she isn't talking to her. The days when I'm noticed and my mom spends a little more time talking to me, I like those times. Sounds lame, I'm sure, but I feel conflicted with that part. Update. My entitled mom wants me to pay my creep stepbrother's student debt. Original post. I, 29 female, have an older stepbrother, Chris, 42 male, who has been a nightmare since the day my mom married his dad. Let me give a bit of a background. Our parents married when I was 4 and he was 17. Both our parents were widowed. After their wedding, we moved to the US since my mom had American citizenship through marriage. I was born in the US too, but after my dad died when I was a year old, my mom and I moved back to Colombia. Stepdad got his residency through marriage, and my stepbrother because he was a minor. My stepbrother wasn't a big fan of me. My only memories of him are just constant bullying. He would be left in charge of me since he was studying locally and lived with my parents, but mostly his babysitting really meant things like locking me in the guest bathroom or the shed outside. He would steal my lunchbox whenever he was the one who dropped me off at school. He even began to harm my pets. I have an old cat that has been with me for almost 22 years. He tried more than once to run her over with his car. My parents never believed any of it. He is the classic golden child. My mom absolutely wanted a son instead of a daughter, so my stepbrother took priority over me. The bullying just kept getting worse and creepier. He had this long key for the bathroom. The door was designed in case it got locked by accident. One could open them by inserting a long stick or key through a small hole on the outside. He would use it to walk in on me showering. My underwear would disappear sometimes, and I know for a fact it was him. He also started taking pictures of me sleeping. One night, I woke up to him taking care of himself next to me while I slept. I yelled obviously. My parents came over, but he wasn't in trouble. I was for tempting him. I was 14 when this happened. He was 27. No one helped me and he got bolder until he did something I'm still in therapy for when I was 16. It got to a point where I called my biological half-older brother Sam, 48 male and son of my biological father's first wife, to see if I could live with him and his wife Sandy during my last 2 years of high school. When Sam found out what was going on, he confronted my mom. My mom didn't care and just told him to take me so long he never asked her for money. Done and done. My brother and his wife became my legal guardians and took me in with my cat and the old family dog since I didn't trust leaving any living creature with Chris around. My parents never checked on me. My extended family from my father's side knew what happened and they immediately got together to ensure I could finish school well and go to college. I don't know my maternal family at all. Thanks to my paternal family, including Sam's mother and her family, I got my bachelor's and master's, no student debt, and work as a nurse practitioner. I still live with Sam, his wife, and their 2 kids, and I pay a small rent. Neither Sam nor his wife expected me to pay anything, but that's the least I can do for the 2 people who have taken care of me for 13 years. For anyone wondering why I didn't move, it's incredibly expensive where I live, and Sam insisted I stay with them until I save enough to buy my own home. Things seemed okay until my mom messaged me recently. She had not messaged me since I was 18 when she told me she no longer had any responsibility to me. In this message, she sounded very friendly, telling me how she missed me and asking how I was doing. I was a bit creeped out but decided to be nice, telling her about what I had done since leaving her care. She seemed very interested since apparently she knew I was a nurse, but not what kind I was. She began asking about my salary. I didn't tell her anything about it, but that it was enough to pay the bills. My mom then began texting about Chris and how he was barely making any money due to his student debt. Apparently, Chris never finished a degree, jumping from career to career. He is now working in my stepdad's used car business as a salesman. but most of his pay went to pay the substantial student debt he got over the years. I told my mom how sorry I was that Chris was having a hard time and wished him luck. That's when my mom finally got to what she wanted. She texted me that I needed to pay his student debt so he could finally begin to make the money he deserves like the man of the family. I just turned off my phone. When I got home, Sam was surprised since I was usually the last to arrive. Sandy wasn't home yet. I told Sam what happened and showed him my mom's text messages. I don't think I've seen Sam this angry ever. He told me to block my mom, stepdad, and Chris if I had not done so yet. After talking with Sam and Sandy, I called my boss to ask the next day and the one after off. This gave me a 4-day weekend, including the days I'm normally off shift. My boss was more than okay with this and told me to just take it easy and let her know if she could help. This backfired because the next day my mom and Chris decided to come to Sam's house to speak to me. I was alone since Sam and Sandy were at work and the kids were at school. I immediately called Sam and told him what was going on. He told me not to open the door and that he was on his way. My mom spent the whole time screaming that I owed them for raising me and that my sweet brother deserved the money. Chris was going around trying to find a window or door unlocked. There wasn't any since the windows have safety bars, and the only other door is in a closed garage and one in the yard. The yard one was locked, and just in case, I locked the one in the garage. I won't post what he called me when he saw me from one of the windows, but basically he pretty much told me they should have thrown me away when I was a baby, since I grew to be a bee. He pounded in one of the windows so hard, he actually cracked the glass. Eventually, he gave up and went back to the front door, clearly trying to kick it down. I didn't have anything to worry about. The door was a security door, but I was still very scared. Between yelling, threatening, pleading, and insults, I finally heard Sam screaming to them to get lost. I only saw things from the window. Sam pretty much dragged them both off the porch. They got to a point I couldn't hear, but I saw my mom and Chris pale and look scared before they pretty much ran to their car and drove off way past the legal speed limit. Sam came in a bit after and immediately went full overprotective brother mode, asking me if I was okay. He kept saying sorry and hugging me. Sandy arrived almost immediately after, and she looked like she was about to commit a felony. Apparently, Sam threatened him with filing charges for what he did to me when I was 16. My brother's ace was my stepdad willing to testify against his own son. That seemed enough to get Chris off our backs, but not my mom. Since then, it's been 3 days and my mom has sent texts called non-stop with various numbers and rallied a group of people who are supposedly my maternal family to harass me for money. She claims that money should legally be hers since she is my mother, that it's my late father's missed child support. Sam is helping me find a lawyer to get a restraining order on my mom, and I plan to take my stepdad's offer to testify by pressing charges against Chris. I can't say I can forgive him for not stopping his son, but I appreciate his at least trying. I don't know the details, but Chris did something to a relative of his dad, and since then they have a really bad fallout. I took my boss's offer and will be on vacation for a few more days. But here it is. My vacation days are getting eaten up, and my therapist might need a therapist after. Thankfully, my dark sense of humor and supportive paternal family are keeping me somewhat sane. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Love, take a breath. You've been through a lot in a very small amount of time. Breathe. I know you need it. I'm so sorry your own mother is doing this to you. It sounds like Sam and Sandy are helping you do everything correctly though. I'm so glad you have them to back you up. God, your mother's a piece of work. I'm glad Sam and Sandy are on your side. Block your entitled mother and the rest of the flying monkeys so you can have some peace of mind to breathe. I personally prefer the description of mom and stepbrother as being baddish crazy. Make sure your credit is locked. First update. I didn't think I would be making an update so soon, but my mother is unrelenting. To the people that were so kind and gave me advice earlier, thank you so much. It really helps to have people show kindness in difficult days. I follow with the advice to freeze my credit, and I will be getting a new phone for personal use. We'll have to keep my old phone for work for a while. Now to the update on the situation. We are going through with pressing charges, and might do a civil lawsuit for 2 years of child support my mother owes. We are not sure yet of our chances on it, but my brother Sam wants to go scorch earth. As for my mother, she began a new campaign. She's been posting about me falsely accusing my stepbrother Chris of SA. She's been accusing me of being a temptress that tried for years to sleep with my brother. It even got a few relatives, who I just found out are my aunts, to join in saying they were witnesses. I never met these women in my life. My stepfather actually commented in her post, saying my mom was lying and accusing his own son of being a pedo. That's how I found out what was the big fallout between them. Stepbrother went after one of stepfather's nieces. I don't know the girl's age, but she has to be about my age if I'm thinking of the right person. If not, she's younger than me. A lot of my biological father's relatives have also gone into social media to call out my mother, saying she had always claimed she was an orphan and had no family, while now she has 3 sisters. It's a mess. I'm just watching for now and being a stay-at-home aunt. My nephews love it, since we go out after they finish homework for crazy shenanigans. My boss has helped me with some paperwork for leave of absence, and I should be off for about 6 weeks. After, I'll be mostly working from home for a few weeks. Not the greatest update, and to be sincere, things are not fun. But it's nice to spend time with the kiddos at least. Also, forgot this. No, my mom is not likely sleeping or in a relationship with my stepbrother. Some people had mentioned this. My mom always wanted a son. I was a disappointment because I was born a girl. She treats my brother like he's her real son, and I think she truly loves him as a mother. She made sure to tell me how disappointing it was for her when I was born. Screenshot all she says and save it. My brother got it. I have her blocked. I would post them, but there's a lot of personal information that will be hard to blur. She put the whole rant over a picture of us as a family, so it would be hard to blur faces. Wow, she's a special kind of evil, isn't she? Big hugs. The sort of crap happened to my wife. That money isn't for student loans. So glad you have your brother and his wife. Hugs to you. What a freaking mess. When you do press charges, see if you can get your expenses for therapy covered as part of the case against him. It's the least they owe you. And be strong. He did it before and will do it again. He needs to be locked away. Second update. So this might be my last update on the mess with my mother and stepbrother, since we're finally starting the legal fights. But I finally had a good laugh. In my previous post, I haven't said a lot about my biological father. He died when I was a year old, so I never really met him. I have one picture of him holding me when I was an infant. I mostly know him from stories from his family. What I do know is he was a man of means. He had a lot of assets that he had carefully divided in his will. Not like so rich he'll never have to work type, just rich enough that I would be able to live comfortably, so long as I worked and did right by my finances. I was not aware he had made sure to leave me with anything. Neither did my half-brother Sam, his son with his first wife. I'm the daughter of an affair partner turned second wife. My understanding was that anything I inherited was wasted by my mother to buy things for her predator stepson Chris, who she prefers to me. In her words, daughters don't need inheritance, just marry a wealthy old man like me. Well, since my mother and Chris have been harassing me lately, we drove to my dad's lawyer to get some things we need for my dad's records for the lawsuit we are planning. He's a sweet older man, kinda looks like my dad a bit, and was my dad's best friend. When we met, he received me with a hug and told me how happy he was to finally meet with him. His wife was there too, and she also gave me a big hug and told me we needed to have dinner at their place. Once we all caught up, we found out my mother had been faking receipts to get money from my trust. A lot of it. Some of it from when I was under Sam's guardianship. And she is not the executor of my trust. She had to provide receipts for anything. She's been sending receipts for me because I'm still in medical school. I finished school in 2021. Well, her meal ticket not only got torn, but now she's in big trouble. Because this is fraud, and basically my hands are tied about pressing charges or not. She claims me as a dependent on her taxes, so my dad's lawyer would refund her for her expenses. He basically told me there's just no way we can keep this just in civil court. He had to contact IRS and the police. Doesn't help she's been using my social security number for some things she shouldn't. Thank you for the people that advised me to freeze my credit. You guys saved me for sure. I probably won't be able to post for quite a while, and I'm going to be incredibly busy. I'm just mentally exhausted about how much has happened. I wouldn't have done anything about my mom using my trust if she had left me alone. I wouldn't even know about it, because the trust is set for me to take over it with proof of marriage or graduating college. And since I didn't know about it, I never sent the required paperwork to take control. She could have milked it dry if she left me alone and just kept sending fake information. I am in the process to get what's left of my trust. There's quite a bit in it, and should be enough for me to get a house or condo if I combine it with my savings, and still have left over to invest or do other things safely. I might wait for a while to buy anything though. I don't know how safe it would be, since my mom still have my social security number. Last story. Update. Am I the a-hole for never telling my mother I'm married into money? Original post. I, 34 female, have a difficult relationship with my mother. She had me when she was 17 and was addicted to various substances when I was growing up. She'd leave me with whoever would watch me for days on end, and I'd end up mostly raising myself. I left home at 16 and couch surfed with various friends until I was able to get my own place. At 25, I met my now husband, and we got married 3 years later. His family's the polar opposite of mine and are incredible. So loving and warm. I honestly consider his parents mine and call them mom and dad. They also happen to be quite well off, but that isn't something I care about. I mention it because it matters to the story. Last year, my mother reached out to me after a decade of not speaking to her, wanting to reconnect and introduce me to my little sister who was 2 years old. I was confused as I hadn't even known she'd been pregnant, but it seems she'd been a change of life baby. I thought maybe she'd turn over a new leaf, and if not, I wanted to make sure the kid was okay. At first it seemed like things had changed and she was trying. The solution lasted for the first few visits over 6 months. Then she broke down, told me she couldn't do this, and asked me to take my sister. My husband and I had a long talk about it. We'd been struggling with fertility and had been considering adoption anyway. We told her if we were doing this, we were doing it right. And we had his family lawyer ensure it was a legal adoption and airtight, which took several months. My in-laws adore her and consider her their granddaughter. They've even set up a trust fund for her. We have allowed my mother one supervised visit per month, so she's not totally cut off from my sister. But it was during these visits things went badly, as she saw how she was dressed and the toys she had, and realized they were expensive. She began to rip into us for hiding the fact we have money, and how if we'd had just given her money, she'd have not given us my sister, as she could have taken care of her better. I told her while we have some money, it's mostly my husband's parents' money, not ours, so she had no right to know about it. Also, that I wouldn't have given her money anyway as I didn't trust her. She broke down calling me a selfish bee who'd never considered how hard things were for her. I now feel some guilt. My husband has told me if it would make me feel better, he'll give her money. But that seems like a bad idea. I should likely use it badly or blow through it than expect more. Despite this though, I do feel bad. Maybe I should have tried to help her more now my luck is better, or maybe I should have been honest with her. Am I the a-hole for keeping this from her? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. If hubby wants to pay for something, it can be a treatment program for mom to get the help she needs. But you are most definitely not the a-hole. Mom is trying to manipulate. I tried many times to try to get her to get clean over the years, before I cut off contact. She had no interest, and I don't think that has changed at all. If I thought that she'd even consider it, I'd be having him do that, if it truly wants to spend money on her. Don't give her a penny. She'll come back for more, and you know she will deep down. Yeah, I do. I want to help her despite how she was with me growing up. But I know that's not the right way to go about it. Just this has brought up a lot of old feelings I thought long gone. And guilt. Your mom doesn't want the money so she can take care of your sister. She just realized she lost her chance at a free meal ticket before she gave her up for adoption. Now for the update. I got some really good feedback from my post, and it led to my husband and I staying up most of the night discussing what we wanted to do, and a decision was reached. It wasn't an easy one, but we have a child to think of now, and she has to come first. We blocked my mother on every social media. We changed our phone numbers, and we reached out to the family lawyer to get in contact with her to inform her that all visits have been stopped, after how she spoke to me in front of my sister. She has to get clean for at least a year, with weekly tests, if she wants to see my sister again. My mother can contact our family lawyer if she needs help with the tests, but beyond that, she gets no help from us, unless she wants to go to rehab, which we will pay for, directly to the rehab, not her. My husband, sister, and I have also moved in with my in-laws for the time being, as my mother knows where we live. We will be looking for a new place, and my in-laws are aware of the situation and that we are cutting all contact for now. Honestly, my in-laws are delighted to have us staying with them. When we arrived, the guest room my sister is using for now had an army of squishmallows on the bed. They are her current obsession, and my father-in-law makes sure to bring a new one each time he sees her. I always think she must have them all now, and each time I'm wrong. How he keeps track of what she has and doesn't have, I don't know, as he never buys doubles. We are settling in well. We are even planning a small holiday with just my husband, sister, and I to get away from the stress we've been under. Nowhere abroad as she doesn't have a passport yet, but we'll be fixing that soon as we want to take her to Lapland for Christmas. All in all, we're doing all right, though I admit I'm feeling very conflicted and guilty over this. Even though I know it's the right choice, it just doesn't make it easy. Thank you all so much for your comments and advice on the original post.